Update. Am I wrong? Boyfriend wants me to ask permission to turn when driving. Original post. Basically, some backstory. I, 23 female, am in a long-term relationship with my boyfriend, 28 male. We met almost 5 years ago. We're not engaged or anything, but it is an exclusive long-term relationship. Our finances are pooled. We work at the same place. The car, which is important in this post, is technically owned by me because my name was what we used to purchase it. I have/had better credit than him. I paid for the down payment, which was $2,000, but our finances are together, so we really both pay the bi-weekly car payment. The insurance has us both on it, and that also comes from our shared finances. My boyfriend is the one who drives the car most of the time. He is a bit of a control freak, but he really likes to drive, whereas I could take it or leave it. However, he's not the only one who drives. Sometimes, for example, he will have me drive him somewhere because he is tired or whatever. However, the following things have been causing arguments. He wants me to use GPS at all times, even when it's just to the corner store. However, if he's in the car with me, he wants me to go the way he says instead of the GPS, but it still has to stay on. He does not like when I drive without him. It stresses him out, and he will change plans to accompany me when I drive. I don't really mind, but I wish he trusted me to drive on my own. Sometimes I feel like I lack independence for no reason. The real thing that makes me fight with him is that if I need to turn, change lanes, or literally do anything, he wants me to ask first. Basically, if I'm about to put on my turning signal, I usually say something like, "Signal to the left lane, okay?" And he will say yes or no. If he says no, he tells me what I should do instead. The thing is, like I said, even if I'm going to the corner store, somewhere we go every day, or literally somewhere where there's no question that I need to turn right, I still have to ask him, "Turn right, right?" Or something like that is usually what I say. When I don't, he gets really upset. Or if I argue with him about it, he says that lane changes and driving decisions affect him personally, so he has a right to have a say about it. In theory, I understand that, because it's true that whatever I do while driving does impact him. However, it's a double standard because he doesn't have to ask me. I've brought that up like, I get that my driving impacts you, but yours impacts me, and you don't check with me before you change lanes or make a turn. He says that while that's true, people have different boundaries, and it's something that bothers him. However, it has never been something that bothers me, so if I tried to have that boundary now, it would be manipulative and just to match his, which means it isn't valid. When we are in the car with other couples, obviously none of them have this weird driving dynamic. In the end, sometimes I feel like this is really weird, but other times I feel like my boyfriend's explanations make sense and that I should respect it. I wonder if it's just a quirk I should accept and drop in the future. However, sometimes it feels like every year I lose more independence. Then again, I don't need to be super independent, so it usually doesn't bother me. I don't know. Anyway, today we had a big fight about it because I didn't ask. It's honestly embarrassing to ask to put on my turning signal, and he's icing me out. Everything else in our relationship is good. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Everyone here will rightfully alert you to the fact that this guy is psycho and controlling. But aside from that, waiting to get permission? Holy crap, that's a flaming red flag and is super dangerous. Driving safely requires attention and 1,000 split-second decisions. It's also very instinctual. If you've got some a-hole in the front seat barking orders or you're preoccupied with seeking his approval to move in traffic, or the BS you'll have to deal with if you don't, you are seriously distracted, and that makes you a hazard to yourself and everyone else on the road. Thank you for your comment because, honestly, sometimes I get really anxious and I start second-guessing myself because I have to ask first. However, this is framed more as me not being so good at driving, even though when we first got together, I actually drove him everywhere. It does feel more dangerous for me, and there are times where I just don't drive so I don't have to deal with the anxiety, but sometimes he is the one who wants me to drive. The hardest part, I guess, with all of these comments is that I do agree it's weird and unreasonable what he's asking, but I don't want to leave him. He has made it really clear that it's non-negotiable, and that if we want to be together, I need to respect his boundaries. Why do you want to stay with him? Genuine question. Break this down. Why? What are the positives he brings to your life that you can't do for yourself, or that are unique to him and not just something a partner provides? I should have included more good stuff about him so everyone gets a full picture. He is the smartest person I know. He loves animals and is so kind and gentle with them. I love the way he dances with the pets at work. He's a vet tech and sings little songs to them. He has a lot of nerdy interests, which I do too, and he has taught me a lot about older nerdy things and stuff like Pathfinder that I didn't really interact with prior. Playing video games with him is so fun, and he doesn't get frustrated at me there like I know some guys do with their girlfriends. Whenever he is getting something for himself, he always asks me. He stays in constant contact with me, except occasionally if he is caving with his grotto, which he is interested in me getting into as well. He makes me feel secure with that constant presence. He is extremely protective, and if someone like Cat calls me or something, he gets so mad, and I know he would always keep me safe from other people. He also is hilarious and has a great sense of humor. I'm always laughing. He lets me watch really bad TV shows and just kind of absorbs them with me. His way with words is crazy. He is so eloquent and also a great, evocative writer. I'm in awe of his abilities. An abusive person isn't often going to look like an abusive person. That's the point. That's how they get you to agree to the relationship. They can be the funniest, smartest person in the world, but that doesn't mean they can't also be an abusive POS. The need for constant contact is a red flag. You call it extremely protective. And another way to phrase that is jealous and controlling, which is also a red flag. His way with words could also mean he's good at manipulation to get what he wants, which is another red flag. When you spend your life wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like regular flags. Mini update. So, the comments started coming in really quickly. I thought I'd get maybe 5 comments, and I didn't expect them to be so passionate. At first, I wanted to delete everything and run. My blood actually ran cold as I was reading everyone's perception of my situation. My heart is pounding. I keep crying, but not at any comment in particular. I just keep crying. This has me more emotional than I've been in a long time. I feel panic because I feel like I'm right to question his weird boundaries, and I feel scared that you're all right, that it's only going to get worse. But I am even more terrified of leaving him. He is my best friend. I like so many things about him. I would mourn our relationship so deeply, but you're all right, and I don't want to mourn my youth and independence. Either way, though, I don't want to make a decision right now because I don't want to be influenced by the response that shocked me so much. I will take the advice of several commenters who said I should talk to my mom and let her know everything. As some of you guessed, my mom isn't a huge fan of him, but she has never said anything horrible. But I have not told her all of this either. I'll talk to my mom and get some advice from her. Maybe I will see if she can drive down to visit me and I can invite my best friend and talk with both of them, cry it out, and try to work out what I need to do. I really thought people would be divided on this situation because of the financial aspect and that it's his boundary. This is really throwing me for a loop, but thank you. Oh, and one more thing. If I do leave him, I will lose my job. They love him. He is the only male vet tech, and they love his work. Now for the full update. A lot has happened, so I'm surprised to see that I only posted 5 days ago. It feels like it has been ages. Long story short, my original post was about my boyfriend, who requires that I not only announce my intentions when driving, turning signal, changing lanes, windshield wipers, literally anything, but that I do not carry out my intention until he approves it. This is the most infuriating thing in my relationship, but I mentioned some other quirks of his too. I read the first 300 comments obsessively, and mostly everyone was really kind. The fact that everyone felt the same way, and the things that were said, like many women comparing my boyfriend to their own abusers that they have left, I don't know. I was just shaken. I could no longer look at my boyfriend the same way. I was crawling out of my skin suddenly. In my last update, I said I was going to carefully consider everything and discuss my options with my mom, and if I left him, I was going to do so thoughtfully. Well, that's not what happened. After work, he wanted me to drive us home because he had a rough shift. When we were leaving work, I started asking him if he had any trauma surrounding car accidents or anything, because a lot of the commenters said his behavior might stem from either a traumatic incident or some sort of OCD. My question just made him angry. He was like, "Is that what it takes for you to listen to me? You need to validate my freaking boundaries with some bad experience? Would it make you freaking feel better if I got into a car crash? Is that what you freaking want?" I started tripping over myself to tell him no, that I didn't want him to get into a car crash. I told him he's just really weird about my driving, so I thought maybe something caused it. We sat in the car arguing for almost an hour. I ended up really pissed off as well, and he said something about his boundary. So I ended up saying, well, my boundary is not being an abuse victim, which was a mistake. He started screaming about who I was talking to and who told me that, which made me say, "Do you think I don't have any of my own thoughts?" He got out of the car and slammed the door, saying I don't love him and want to ruin his reputation, and that I don't care about anything but myself. Usually he wants me to chase after him, but I had the ick so severely at this point that I just called his bluff and left. I turned off my phone and drove to our apartment. Part of me intended to just get as much of my stuff and my cat and run off right then and there, but I only had about 10 minutes before he came through the door with our freaking boss, one of the veterinarians who owns the clinic. I know I didn't come off well because I was so livid. Everything I said came out emotionless, cold, and maybe even a little hateful. So in front of our boss, who clearly had been told some of it on the way, he started saying how I was trying to take everything from him, that I was cheating on him, that I was all he ever loved, but that I played him for a fool, and he called the car his. He was venting, screaming at me partially, but really relaying all this BS to our boss, and he said I should be grateful that he lets me drive his car. I lost it. I started going through our bank account and doing the math, even though they were both trying to drown me out at this point. His entire paycheck goes to his BS, his games, his parents allegedly. Literally, if he puts $300 a month toward our shared bills, I am lucky. I cash-apped most of what I had left from my paycheck to my best friend and requested a hardship withdrawal of a considerable amount from my retirement account, which will be sent via check to my mom's house. While this insanity was happening at my apartment, I texted my friend to please come over immediately and that I was leaving my boyfriend and was scared. At this point, my boss kept telling me to cool off and go crash somewhere, saying my boyfriend could drive me to a hotel or something and pick me up in the morning. I was unwilling to leave the car or my cat and waited for my friend to show up. Of course, my boyfriend was pissed when she showed up, and my boss said I was being unfair by involving other people. You are literally other people yourself. My boyfriend threatened to call the cops, and I said, go ahead, the car is in my name, and I would love for the Reddit sleuths to match the police report to my post. That really spooked him, and he started crying about how I was ruining his reputation. He kept harassing me about, what did you say in the Reddit post? What lies are you circulating? But I was able to leave with my friend, my cat, and my car. I have not been back to work. I will not be. My boyfriend has shown up at her apartment twice so far. I don't want to put her in danger, so I'm going to move in with my mom, who lives a few hours away. I do not feel empowered. I do not feel like a weight was lifted. I feel embarrassed by how messy it was. I feel guilty for some reason, and mostly I just want to sleep for a year. Good for you for standing up for yourself. He sounds controlling, and then when his anger tactics didn't work, he cried to sound desperate. He's probably insecure, so he will be reading and searching for this Reddit thread and getting upset at everyone calling him out. I'm worried that he's going to show up, but it turns out he is really stupid, so I don't think he even understands what the issue is. He probably doesn't even know what to search for. Idiot. You should consider calling a lawyer. The boss intimidating you at your home may rise to the level of gender discrimination or sexual harassment/hostile work environment. Your boss is a moron for doing this. Call anyone higher up in the company and tell them what happened and that you're considering a lawsuit for harassment. That's insane behavior. He tried to help your ex steal your car. Ostensibly, he was there because he gave my boyfriend a ride. I didn't lose anything besides my job, but I didn't try to not lose my job, so I don't think there is anything to sue for. I didn't even make an attempt. I just never showed up again. That's really on me. Not really. Your boss didn't just give him a ride. He came inside and tried to talk to you and convince you to stay with an abuser. In that action, he inserted himself and aligned himself with your abuser, making the work environment unsafe to return to. Edit. My ex is now sending AI nudes to people, including my mom and at least one former coworker. I suspect this is because I blocked him on everything and got a new phone, so he no longer knows my phone number. Last story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend because I couldn't stand her dog? I recently broke up with my girlfriend, and one of the biggest reasons was her dog. I feel kind of ridiculous saying that, but the situation was honestly making me miserable. She has a mini dachshund that is about 9 months old. The problem is that he's basically completely untrained and has no routine or structure. He's never been on a walk. There's no real schedule for anything, and he mostly just runs around the house doing whatever he wants. Whenever I was over, he would constantly hump me, bite my hands, grab my sleeves and pants, and pull on my clothes. One time he even bit my eyeball. If I tried to sleep, he'd keep jumping on the bed and humping me. I'd move him off, and he'd just get right back up and start again. He also ripped some of my clothes and scratched up my hands badly enough that they bled. It made it really hard for me to relax or feel comfortable being there. After a while, I started dreading going over there because I knew I'd have to deal with it the whole time, usually while she was on her video game. I did try bringing it up and suggested things like daily walks, training, or ways to get his energy out. I wasn't trying to criticize her, I just wanted the situation to improve, so everyone, including the dog, would be happier. I even tried writing out a simple routine for him to help, but she would usually just respond with, "I don't know what to do." Nothing really changed. Sometimes she'd smack his butt or put him in a crate or hallway if he got too annoying, but there wasn't any real training, exercise, or structure. The hitting also made me uncomfortable because it didn't seem like it was actually helping the behavior. I also tried explaining that hitting him on the butt probably wasn't going to actually fix the behavior, and that training would be more effective, but nothing really changed. I volunteer at shelters when I have free time, so animal welfare, routine, and proper care are really important to me. From what I experienced when I was there, he didn't seem to have much routine or structure, and then I was expected to just deal with the behavior. At some point, it hit me that if we stayed together, I'd probably be dealing with this dog and this dynamic for the next 10 to 15 years. That made me realize we might just be incompatible in terms of responsibility and lifestyle. I never asked her to get rid of him or anything like that. I just realized I couldn't live with the situation long term. She thinks breaking up over a dog is ridiculous and says her family lives with him and doesn't feel the same way I do, although some of them have mentioned he can be a lot to deal with. So now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for ending the relationship? Partly because I couldn't stand her dog and the way the situation was handled? Edit. To clarify, he does go outside to go potty sometimes, but it's usually just in the front yard off-leash rather than regular walks. There were also days where I noticed he wasn't taken outside at all. Let me rephrase it. You are not breaking up over a dog. You are breaking up over her attitude toward another living being she has willingly taken in to take care of and is doing a miserable job with. It is her character, not her dog. Yeah, that's kind of how I started to see it too. It wasn't really about the dog existing. It was more about the lack of structure and that nothing really changed when I tried bringing it up.